Okay, so welcome everyone to Code with Sally on Thursday. I think we have a couple of new people today. So I hope you had a chance to look into the YouTube channel. I have here, it's called Code with Sally. Let me, I will post the link for it. And feel free to watch. I have here a playlist where I put all the recordings for the sessions, the previous sessions, so you can watch it whenever you have time to catch up. We are still at the beginning, so hopefully it won't be too hard to follow. But if you are new to coding and there's something I'm referring to and you don't know what is it, feel free to stop, raise your hand, ask the question, or use the chat to ask it. And I will do my best to elaborate more to make it easier for you to follow along with us in this session. The other thing, I hope everyone has their developer org or their playground ready. So whenever we try to work with any code samples, you can follow along. And my apologies, everyone. I'm not feeling very well today, so I would do my best to get through the hour, but I will let you know if I need to stop it earlier. Today last time we started talking about the conditional statements in Salesforce, and we did the if statement, but I will do a quick review before moving forward. So the conditional statements are a very important topic to know about and to learn more about it so you can use it in your code. The first topic we covered was the variables, and if you have any questions about it, let me know. But conditional statements are very important because you will get a lot of situation while working that sometimes you want to do different behaviors based on certain conditions. Simply, for example, if I'm expecting you to enter your age, maybe based on your age, I will show different content, for kids appropriate or for teens and so on. So the conditional statements are very important. I have on my blog two blogs talking about the conditional statements. I will share the link again. So if anyone new to the session, they can follow or read it. I don't know if anyone got the chance to read it before the session today, but if not, we are covering whatever is discussed in it, you have the discussion or the explanation in written format for you to refer to anytime you want. As we said, they are very important because they are basic and you will be using them in a lot of scenarios when you're working in day-to-day coding exercise. We spoke about that you can think about it like a flow chart, and sometimes it makes it easier to think about it that way, that sometimes you have a condition, and if the condition is true, you do something. If it's false, you do something else. But sometimes it's more complicated than just true or false or one condition. Sometimes you will have like first condition, if it's true, you do something. But if it's false, you check another condition. And if it's true, you do something else. And if none of the conditions is true, you do a third action. And that's what we are trying to cover in the session for conditional statements, to see the different types and how we can think what is the best way to do the logic we want to do. So in the conditional statement section, we'll be covering the if, the else if, the switch, and the ternary operator. And we'll explain what is the expression. The expression is basically how you can write your condition so the computer or Salesforce understand that it's a condition and you want it to be evaluated to Boolean. And for anyone who attended the session before, you know that Boolean is a special type and it's either true or false. If it's true, it's it's correct. It evaluated that this is a true condition or it's true expression. and false, that's the opposite. So we'll see how we can write them and how we can evaluate them. Any questions so far? Check. No. Okay, so the first one, the first statement that we talked about last time, and we'll go through it quickly now, as a refresher, is the if statement. That's the most basic conditional statement you will work with. It allows you to make a decision based on a condition. The basic syntax for it is the if keyword that has to be there. Then you write the expression, which is your condition, between brackets like that. And then you open a bracket, a curly bracket, and you close it. And within the curly bracket, open and close, this is where the code you will execute if the condition is true. Last time we did an example. Let's start with it again. Let's say here I want to ask for what's today's date. And based on the today's date or the day of the name for today, I want to check, is it Thursday? Then if it's yes, I want to show or print on the screen a message to welcome everyone to the session. So let's try to do that with our code. So everyone, if you can have your org, the developer edition or the Trailhead playground, what you can do is that you go here on the gear and you open the developer console. As a reminder, I hope that everyone got the chance to install Visual Studio Code or are doing that so far, like now, because so far we are using the developer console, but at some point we'll be switching and we'll be using Visual Studio Code. When you open the developer console, you go to the debug menu, and you open execute anonymous window. Here, the first thing is I want to store what's the name of the day. So I will have a string and I will say it's day name. And let's assume it's Thursday because today is Thursday. That's getting the day name. Then the condition, this is our expression, which is this line, the if and the condition along with it. That's what we will do next. So you start with an if and you open and close the bracket, and it's just a recommendation. In Salesforce in general, like here, when I opened, it closed it for me. But for any reason, if you are working on another IDE and it's not closing it for you, the moment you open a bracket, close it so you don't get confused between the brackets. And we'll do the two curly brackets here as well, open and close. So that means here I have an if, a place to enter my condition, and between the curly brackets is whatever code I want to do or execute whenever the condition is true. So here, I want to check that the day name is Thursday. So I will do day name. That's my variable. And I will do equal. In Salesforce, and while you are writing an expression to check if it's true or false, equality is always equal. And then here I put a string and I will write Thursday. So that means here, what will happen when the code will run, it will go check what's the value in the day name. The value of the day name will be Thursday. So it will be checking if Thursday equal Thursday. So that's what the code will execute when we run it. And it will evaluate to true because the two are identical and they are equal. In that case, I will go to the yes because the condition is true. We want to print a welcome message. So to print, we use the system.debug, and that's to print something in the logs for now because we don't have an interface. We don't have a Lightning Web component to show a toast message or anything. So for me, when I refer to print, I want to print in the debug log for now. So here, welcome to Code with Sally session. and semicolon. So let's run it and see. To run it, usually the first time you will open, you won't have the open log. Click it so it opened the log for you and click execute. When we run this, we'll do now, I want to see only the debug statements. So now I can see that I have welcome to Code with Sally session. Okay, so let's do something else. Like, do we see here in the flow chart that we have anything will happen if it's not Thursday? We don't have anything currently in the flow chart. Like the chart is only going one way, the yes, but there is no path to go to. So, and to simulate that, let's see here. I will change this to Tuesday. Now, when the code will run, we'll go check what's the value in the name, day name. It will be Tuesday, and it will say like, is Tuesday equal Thursday? The answer will be no. So the code here between the brackets will be ignored because this will only happen or run only when the expression evaluates to true. And because in my case now, it won't evaluate to true, so nothing will happen there. I won't see anything and nothing will be printed. So let's execute it. And let's see here, debug only, nothing is there. Sorry. In case does not seem to matter. So Jay, do you mean the Thursday here, or if I wrote Thursday here with a small t?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it. So when you write here Thursday with a small letter, it will be, I think that we tried it in the first session. So this type of comparison will ignore the differences between the capital and small. But let's say you want to force it. So you go to Apex string methods. And here, here. So equals and ignore case, that will ignore the cases like small and capital. Here equals here return true if past string is not null and represent the same binary sequence is case sensitive. So use this method if you want to perform case sensitive. So that's one of the string methods. And let's try it. So to use it, again, it's a good thing to know how to read and learn about the methods and how to execute them. So here, it indicates it returns Boolean, so it's true or false, and it is expecting a second string. So it used the first string, dot, equals, and then the second string. So let's try that now here. So I will do here day.name equals, and I put Thursday between brackets for the equals, and then I will close the bracket for the if statement. So that here, it's case sensitive in that case. And let's run it. It should not print the message for me. So nothing was printed. So the equality between two strings, like day name equal Thursday, that's case insensitive. So it doesn't matter, but this one is case sensitive. So it depends on the situation and use case you have, because sometimes when you are working, sometimes you really, really care about, say, a case if it's capital or small, and sometimes it's no. So if you care about the capital and small letters, so using that will cause an issue and vice versa. So it depends on the use case. Let me comment those here. And let me put all of that in the chat. Okay, so that explains how we can use the if statement. And again, just to summarize here, we have between the brackets, the expression. And the expression in that case, it's instead of using the equal operator, we used a method from the string methods to do the equality for me. And all I care about is that the result here is a Boolean. And that's what the method returns. So it returns a Boolean. So in other words, you don't need always to use equal, or not equal, or greater. Sometimes you have to use, or you need to use some methods for the variables you're dealing with. But all we care about that this method is returning a Boolean for you. So it can evaluate the expression either to true or false. So any questions so far?
Just a short one. I'm still a little fuzzy about the distinction between a method and an operator. So the equals versus the dot, the function, the dot equals. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the dot equals after the name. So does the dot equals have more than just the Boolean? Does it have things that it looks for beyond that?
So in general, like I don't know if Chris, did you attend the first sessions when we were talking about the variables, or no? So I know how to answer your question better. It was Chris, right?
Sorry, I muted myself to listen.
Okay.
I've done some of the Apex the developer modules,
Okay.
but this was just something I don't think I quite understood it then when I was doing the modules as well.
Okay, so I will give you a brief description or explanation, and hopefully that will help. But if you didn't watch the previous sessions for when we were discussing the variables and primitive data type, I would encourage you to listen to them, because we talked about the methods of each primitive data type. So it may help more beyond what
I'll go back and I'll go back and watch that. There's no problem. You don't need to go through.
I'll give you just a quick explanation. So like Salesforce in general, like in all the primitive data types are the most basic data types we'll be working with, like date time, string, integer, long, and so on. So all of those for Salesforce are considered kind of like a class. And for each data type, Salesforce gave us a list of methods that are ready for us to use to do specific action or function for us. Like, for example, when I search here, I'm at the string class, which is the string data type. And we have here a list of methods. So the methods are like in the background with Salesforce, like maybe the abbreviate is like 20 line of code, but we don't see the implementation. It's something that Salesforce built, and it just giving us the opportunity to use it and call it to do a specific task for us. So like you'll see, for example, contains, like I can search if a string contains a certain text, or I can do remove a certain character from the end of the string, or I can calculate the number or the length of the string. So there is a lot or for example, if it's alphanumeric, so I can have a method to check a string if it's alphanumeric. So if I want to convert it to an integer, it doesn't cause an issue, or if it's empty, or if it's numeric. So there is a lot of methods, and the method are different between a data type to another. So the methods are like a way for you to do some tasks, but Salesforce did that for you and give it to you out of the box to use and call. And they are different per data type. Like if you are using string, those are the methods. But like if you have date, Apex methods, for example, here, you will go and you will see, like, for example, it will add days to a certain date. And usually it gives you here a description that this method will return a date and it takes number of days. And it gives you an example. Some of the methods, like the date new instance, we call it by the class itself, like date.new instance, and we call it. And other methods, you call it by a variable, like my date. This is a variable of type date. And then you do dot add days and you add the integer. So it depends on the documentation. Best is to read it. So that's the method that are available for the primitive data type. Later on in this course, we will discuss more how we can create our classes and our methods. But in general, the methods are a way to give you a certain functionality. When you call it, it does it for you. So that's the equals. And in that case, here, this one, it's case sensitive. So it cares about like if the same word with the same small and capital letters. The equal just compares the two strings, but it's not case sensitive. And we'll use the equal when we do, if two numbers are equal together, you won't be using equals because they are integers. So in case of the string, there was a method available for us that we can use to enforce the comparison of the small and capital letters in a word. Did that help a bit, Chris?
Yes, it does a great deal. It's starting to make me think of Legos, where that equals is it's the little nubs on the top of the Legos, the bricks. You can connect them together no matter what color, what, and then the function, the methods down there would be you've got the different size, you've got different colors, you've got different shapes, and it can be attach them together and do a lot of different things. So not a great metaphor, but I'm seeing the difference. Yes, and then the methods are different depending on the function or what you want to add them to, whether it's string or whether it's the data type. Sorry.
Yeah, and the data type, and it's another way to help you understand it more when we do the classes and methods ourselves, that the date is considered, the date data type is considered as a class, or it's a class, and in the future we'll be building our own classes with our own methods as well.
I appreciate the differentiation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, so that covers the most basic, the if condition. Now we'll take it one more step. Like here, I have my flow chart. So we didn't do anything before with the no, but for example, I want to give you something on the screen. When it's not Thursday, I want to tell you another message. Print, sorry, session coming soon, for example. Because when it was a bit odd when we were in the developer console and we didn't see anything, like someone may think that they wrote it wrong. So in some cases, we want to have a no flow and to do something about it as well. And another thing as well, like let me take this here. And sometimes I want to do something as well more complicated. That if is it Thursday, yes, print welcome message. And if it's no, I want to give another condition like here. Like, is it weekend? And then if it's yes, it's print message, for example, I'm off. And if it's not a weekend, then you can tell me print message, I'm available. Available to meet. So those are different ways to think about it, like how how you would think about the flow and how you think about the conditional. It's not always like one flow. Let me put this here so you see the difference. Like the first one we did was, is it a yes? And you did nothing. But another scenario, I could have a yes and I want to give you another message in the no, so you know, like I processed your request, or I did the condition and it didn't evaluate to true, so you know there is something. In another case, you want to do more, like you want to check if it's Thursday, then yes. If it's no, check if it's weekend or not, and print different messages based on that. So this here, like, because we have another condition that will go under the else if statement. So here, what we are saying, the else if statement is used to introduce additional conditions after the initial if statement. And that's what we did. Like, if it's not Thursday, I'm checking if it's a weekend or not. So it's an extra condition that I'm checking after the first one. And it allows you to do multiple conditions and different cases to cover different scenarios. How you can write it, or the syntax would be the if, that's a fact, it has to be there. Between the brackets, that's the first condition, is it Thursday or not? Between the curly brackets, that's the code that will run if this condition evaluates to true, condition 1. And then else if, that's the second condition. I started with an else and if as well. And between two brackets, the condition number 2 that will evaluate either true or false. And between the curly brackets here, we'll have the code that will run in that case. So let's try it and see it in action. So here, let's put this to be Thursday, or let's see here, Saturday. So I have here the first condition, that's condition 1. And now I want to do the second one. So we said we'll start with an else, and then if, open and close the bracket, then open and close the curly bracket. So here I have my placeholder for the condition, the second condition, condition 2. And I have here a code that will only run, this one run only when condition 1 is true. Sorry. And here, that's the code that will run if condition 2 is true. In that case here, I want to do that day name equals Saturday. And in that case, we said, if it's a weekend, I want to print a message that I'm off. So here I would say system.debug, I'm off today, okay? And semicolon to enter, to finish the line. Now, if I run this one, yes, it is Saturday. If I run it, it will go and tells me that I'm off today, because that here when it came, it was checking if the day name Saturday is equals Saturday or not. Okay, so there is a question on the chat. What if I want to as well, Sunday, like if I had the day name here, Sunday. So Sunday is still the weekend. So what we can do here is I could do simply another condition, a third condition. Condition 3. And I will say here, it's Sunday. So I have else if the day name equals Sunday, that's the third condition. And here, that's the code that will run only when condition 3 is true. So let's run this. And I will do the bug, and it printed right that I am off today. because I added the third condition. But is that a good way to do it? I don't think so. Like, or it depends on the situation, and let me explain to you why. So here, do you see that the same code is repeated? So I'm off today, and I'm off today as well here. In general, when we are working with Salesforce coding, we try to avoid repetition and redundancy. So if you find yourself in a position where you're writing the same code over and over again, it means you have to stop for a second and think if there is a better way to do it, and if you could do it in a different way to minimize redundancy and repetition. Because today, for example, I wanted to add for my message, sorry, I'm off today. And I forgot to change it here. If I execute my code and run, the message is wrong now. It's I'm off today, but I wanted to say, sorry, I'm off today. So having repeated code over and over again in different spots make it harder to maintain. And there is more potential that you forget to change it in all the places. And you may do it in one place and forget in the other one, as we did here. So what we can do now, what I want to do is something like, I want to say here, is it Saturday or Sunday instead of is it a weekend? So I want to have an or condition. That's the key. That's what we are trying to do, that we want an or. An or in Salesforce is done by this, I don't know the name for it, like, but this is the symbol of the or. So to do the or, that means this condition, like condition 2, or I would take condition 3 here with me. I remove it from here, or let me write it for you again. Or I would say day name dot equals, and I put Sunday here. So it's the same, if you can compare it, it's the same condition. I just moved it to here. And then we remove this all together. That means here, this one is condition 2 or condition 3. And this run only when condition 2 is true or condition 3 is true. So it's how I tell the condition to the expression now that I have an or. So it's either that condition is true or that condition is true. Okay, yeah, pipe, sorry. So it's pipe. So else if day name is Saturday or Sunday. Now if I run it, I will see that I will get the correct message, which is sorry, I'm off today. So that in that way, we combine the two together in one condition with an or, and we make it easier to maintain moving forward. Why I'm saying that sometimes it may be harder to have it in one condition, because sometimes only one expression can be too long or too complex, and adding two complex expressions that you are checking together, sometimes it makes it harder to read, and sometimes people prefer to split it and move the code that we have here in a function. So it's called either by condition 2 or when condition 3 is evaluated 3. But as long as you have simple conditions like that, so definitely go for the path where you will do it together. Something else, sometimes I prefer to put each condition like alone in a bracket to make it more organized. But again, in that case, it's not needed because it's only for each condition, it's only one expression. So it's not too complicated that needs brackets, but something to keep in mind. So any questions so far with what we just added? So Larry, did I answer your question now? Is it clear how to do it if you wanted to add or Sunday? Okay, great. So that's the second one. And the third one is the else. Like the else, because now we did, sorry. So now we did this, and we did this condition, and with the yes for it, I printed I'm off. But what if it's not Thursday and it's not weekend? Like we didn't print any message that I am available. And that takes us to the else statement. So the else statement is used to provide code that will be executed if none of the previous conditions will be evaluated true. So I can have if condition 1, again, the syntax is if, and between brackets, the condition that will evaluate the true. Between the curly brackets here will be the code that will execute if this condition 1 is true. Then else if condition 2 between brackets, and between the two curly brackets here, we have the code that will be executed if condition 2 is true. But what if condition 1 is false, condition 2 is false, and I want to do something as default? If none of them is true, that will take me to the else. So the else here, you'll notice it doesn't have a bracket or a condition because I'm not checking anything. I'm reaching the else statement when none of the previous conditions are true. So it will be executed when, like if I had here 10 conditions before, like if and else if, like multiple, it will be executed only if none of the previous conditions were evaluated to true. And again, it needs a curly bracket to define where your code will have true, like be executed when it's not true. When you have only one line of code that is executed, you don't have to have the curly brackets. But in general, for me at least, when I write, even if it's single line of code, I prefer to have the brackets so I can see visually where is the start and end of my code. Like, because I can come here and see when I go to the ending of the curly bracket, it highlights the starting, so I can tell exactly all the lines that will run. And the same here. So for me, I prefer always, even if it's single line of code, to put the curly brackets. And yeah, so that's the syntax for it. So here we did the condition, the yes for it, the no, we did the condition 2. The remaining is to do the no flow for us. So to do the no, here what we do is the else, and open and close the curly bracket. And here I will print here code that will run if condition 1 is false, condition 1, condition 2, and condition 3 are false. So all of them are false. I would do here system.debug, and I will say I'm available. And the semicolon at the end to end the statement. Here I have Sunday, so if I run it, it will be sorry, I'm off today. Thursday, like let's try here to see the else happening. We have to choose something that is not Thursday, not Saturday, and not Sunday. So that's why I tried it with a Monday. Let's execute it. And I do debug only. Here it will say I'm available today. So that's the fallback for me, that whenever none of my conditions happen. Do we always need it? No. Like we did at the beginning, like the if is the only thing that is needed. Like you cannot have an else if without an if. You cannot have an else without an if, but you can have an if and else directly. You can have if and else if without else statement. So this if statement is the minimum requirement to have when you're writing an if and else statement. And you can have as many as you want else if, or and you can only have one else. You cannot have multiple else statements, like it will be only one else. Any questions so far? I'm checking the chat. I think we are good. So the next is that we got in touch with the conditions or the expression and how to write it. But we want to know more how they get evaluated and how we can write it to make more complex scenarios or accommodate different conditions that we want to check for. So the type of conditions where we will put in the expression to evaluate to true or false, we can use equal for equality. Not equal is exclamation mark equal. For the equal is equal, equal. And we can have as well comparison conditions. Like you can have less than, greater than, less than or equal, greater than or equal. So it's comparison, and like the equality or the greater than and the comparison condition will be more useful when you have numbers, because it will be checking two different numbers together. And the logical conditions is what we tried. Like we tried the or for the logical or, and we can have an and. And the and as well in that case is and, not the single one. So for the or, it's the pipe. For the and is the like the and expression. So let's try an example here for the equality. Let me take this here, copy. That's for the sample we just tried now. Let's try for the equality. I want, for example, here, I can have fruit name 1 equal apple, and string fruit name 2 equal banana. And I want to check if the two fruits are the same. Anyone wants to tell me what I can write? Like I want to print if they are equal. So I want to say if it's the same fruit. If they are different, I want to say that they are different fruits. So anyone can suggest something? Any volunteer? I choose random. So Larry, you are quiet today. Maybe I can try with you. You are muted. Okay, let me try. Larry, you came off mute, so you want to try?
Yeah, sorry, I was multitasking, so I missed it.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, let me do it if you are busy with something else. So here I do start with an if. So in my case, I want to have an if and else because I want to print that they are the same if they are equal, otherwise. And let me give you another way to think about it. Instead of having to draw a flow chart, because sometimes you don't have to do, or you don't want to use a paper, you want it to be in front of you while you're working on the code, you can do a pseudocode and think about pseudocode as English. So here, or steps like first, check fruit name 1 equals fruit name 2. And second, if they are equal, chose equal fruits, same fruit message. And the third step is I want to do, if not, show message different fruit. Okay, so that's what I can do in terms of pseudocode or steps. So that, let's see how we can put it in wording here. First, I want to check fruit name equals fruit2 or not. One thing you can do, if you want, you can do a Boolean is equal, is same fruit, for example. And you can say this one equals fruit name equal fruit name 2. And then I want to check if they are equal. I will show a message. So I can take this Boolean, because this one, as we talked about the Boolean data types, this will evaluate to true or false. And I'm saving it in a Boolean. And when I'm saving it to a Boolean, I can use the Boolean here. And I can print a message, system.debug. And I will say same fruit. And else, that's the third step. I want to show that they are different. So system.debug, different fruit. Okay. So that's the way for you to think about it. And that's how you can define a Boolean, and you can set it to true or false by this expression. But sometimes we can say, like, I can write it in last line of code. So I could simply take this and let me keep this here. So if someone wants the code, we can run it, or let me run it first so you can see it. If I run this one, okay, here it says like we have an error in line 13, and it's because this method I wrote it wrong. So, but it's a good thing to happen, so you know how to think about it. So we have here line 13. So line 13 here. So I go to the line. Yeah, this method, I wrote it wrong. It's the bug. And I will execute now. And I will do the bug only, and I see it's different fruit. So it's correct. The other way to do that, let me comment this. So if someone wants to see the difference, we have both of them. Instead of doing this on 2 steps, I could do that directly. Do you see the bracket? Whatever I have here between the bracket, this is the expression that I wanted to evaluate, or I used to evaluate to true or false to get the Boolean value. I can remove them from here and put them directly here. So I say directly in the if statement is fruit name 1 equal fruit name 2, then show it's same fruit or different fruit if it's an else. So this one is the same as if I'm doing this on 2 lines. It's just shorter. When we do that is if you need to use this is same fruit, or you need to do this comparison in another line of code, or you'll use it again. So instead of evaluating more than once, you can evaluate it once, put it in a variable, and use it over and over again. Okay, so let's execute it now. And I will do the bug only, and it's different fruit. Still the same result because we had apple and banana. Is it a bit clear? Or anyone has questions? I know we are 3 minutes like to finish the session, so I won't be covering anything more. The next session we'll do more about the comparison, and we'll see how we can use the different comparisons here. And then we'll take it further about how to use the brackets, and the only thing, maybe let me put this for you that you can think about it until we meet next time. That's a flow chart that I used in my previous sessions as an example, explaining what's the code and what's the usability of code. Maybe try to implement it in developer console that you have a variable where you will save a number value in it and display it even or odd. And next time, like we can cover it and see how it's working. So we'll start again next session with the type conditions and how we write the expressions to take it further. And we'll cover the flowchart and see how you did it. And we'll continue the rest of the conditional statements. Any questions so far? So I'm happy to have you today, and I'll see you next session then. Thank you so much for attending.
Thanks, Sally.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're
Very
welcome.
helpful.